All right, we are live. What is up, everybody? It's Mike D, and welcome. So, it's 8 o'clock. We're going to get started in a minute, and while everyone kind of joins and gets situated, I'm just going to jam along to some backing tracks, because today we're going to show you how to create your own backing tracks, which I think is going to be a ton of fun. So let me just jam for a few minutes while everyone kind of gets piled in, and hopefully we get all our technology working and all that stuff. If you guys are out there, feel free to drop in, say hi, shoot a message, let me know if the audio and video sound good. In the meantime, I'm just going to jam for a bit. And let's get our audio going through the studio and see if this is working. There we go. All right, cool. What's up? It's Mike D. How you guys doing? Happy Friday night, chilling out, and going to be doing a live lesson tonight. So tonight we're going to be talking about how to create your own backing tracks. And this is a really fun topic for me. Last week we did a lesson talking about how to jam along to backing tracks. And that's what I was just doing right then and there. But today I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways that you could create your own backing or jam tracks, which as a guitar player is one of the best things, in my opinion, you could do and practice with, because it's one of those tools that allows you to have just an endless amount of fun, because you're not really trying to practice or perfect any one thing. It's this open, palette of what's going to happen. You could practice your scales, you could practice your licks, you could practice your soloing. You're not trying to nail a specific solo, and that leaves room for just a lot of fun things to happen. And the thing about backing tracks is that, especially nowadays, there is so many different ways and tools and resources that you could have, even if you're not creating your own, to get out there and have resources to just jam along to. But today's going to be all about creating your own, because this is going to make you an infinitely better guitar player. And like I said, with the technology we have today, phones, computers, studios, all that stuff, we're going to be able to do this at any level and any cost, including free. And we're going to start with that. So let's talk about a couple things before I jump in to show you how I do this. And we are in the studio. This is my studio, and you have no idea the amount of tech I have hooked up right now to try to make this lesson happen. So hopefully we'll go without any big tech issues. I got a bunch of different angles that I'm going to show you where we'll focus on the computer and a bunch of different other things. So we'll see what happens as we go. If you guys have questions when I'm going, type them in, say hi, let me know, and I'll interact with you as best I can. I'm going to do this reach over here thing a whole bunch and, you know, check things out once in a while, but I'm going to try to keep my attention on you guys since I don't want to be too distracted. So anyways, what is a backing track? It's just a looped groove that repeats over and over so that you could go ahead and jam along to it. You could use a regular song as a backing track. You could use, you know, something that you wrote. But the core components to really make it a good backing track is number one, that it loops, and two, that it's in time. Three, in my opinion, it's important that it doesn't have a lot of melody or a specific melody line. All right, what I like using backing tracks for is just a simple guitar rhythm or a chord or a groove. All right, because you want to keep it simple so that you could focus on jamming to it. If you start introducing melody lines like singing and things like this, you're going to then be influenced with the way you jam over it. All right, I talked about this a little bit last week, so I'm not going to go crazy into it today. But what we're going to show you how to do in this lesson is use resources, whether it's your phone or a computer and digital audio workstations, or DAW. That's a very popular term that you hear nowadays. So I'm going to show you a bunch of ways that we could do this. And what we're going to start with is the free version. But first, let me talk about and show you the groove that I'm going to use in this lesson. All right? And it's this funky groove I was just playing too. And it goes like this. All right, it's a super fun, funky groove, and it's something that I could solo over endlessly. So the goal is going to be, how do I take that groove and loop it so that I could then practice soloing on top of it, okay? And when you're going to apply this to yourself, you could think about, how do I do this with a song I'm playing? You could do this as simply as your own chord, just one chord that you're strumming. Let's say it's A7. All right, your goal here is going to be, how do I record that into something, loop it, so that I could then practice soloing and playing leads over it, okay? So the first way we're going to do this is with a good old iPhone, okay? iPhone, Android, either of them are going to work because they're all going to have the functionality, and there's going to be the super simple things we'll do here, a little bit more complex, and then we'll get inside the computer, okay? Now, we're going to try our first little special view. And by the way, how's everything looking and sounding out there? I see a couple of you guys are in here. Hey, Frank, how you doing? And we got Grizel. Oh, Len, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? So let me know if everything's sounding good. And thank you guys for being on Facebook. This is obviously something a little different. I usually do these on YouTube. But we're going to try to mix it up and see how this all works out. So let's go and switch up our view and give us, let's see if we could figure out, where do I have, nope, that's not it. We want that one, and I want, where's the other view that I'm looking for? Let's see if we could find it. That ain't it. There we go. And then the other thing that I want, hang on, computers are failing me. Cameras are failing me. Okay, there we go. All right, so what we have, let's see if we could see this now. There we go. Okay, like I said, bear with me while I do this techie stuff here, okay? So we got our iPhone, right? So the first thing I'm going to do to keep this super simple is a voice memo app, okay? Every phone is going to have some type of voice memo recorder, all right? So right here, I have a voice memo app, and I'm literally just going to press the record button and then keep this microphone that's on the phone here, I'm going to keep that close to my guitar or my audio source, okay? It's literally that simple, all right? I can hit record on the phone, and this thing's going to start recording, okay? And then as long as this is close to maybe my amp, or if I'm playing an acoustic guitar and I want to keep this thing close to it, I'm literally going to sit here and just play the groove that I have. Okay. What you're going to do is sit there and play that for like 5 minutes straight. All right, it may seem a little monotonous, but the idea is that you're going to sit there and practice playing this groove, and instead of having a way for us to loop it, you're going to just be the looping system. You're going to play it straight for 4 or 5 minutes. It's good practice, but once you're done, you could then just hit play, and when you go back to this and you got your groove going, and this thing's going to start recording, okay? And then as long as this is close to maybe, you can see that's obviously me talking, but once you get into the groove. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Super lo-fi, free and easy though, okay? So what is really important to do though is if you have a metronome or some other beat making device like a drum machine, and I'm going to show you how to use that a little bit later, you want something that's going to keep a steady beat, all right? So if you have a metronome, okay, if it has an earpiece, okay, wear a headphone so that you can hear a steady beat, but what's important is that you don't hear the beat out loud, okay? Having a set of headphones that you can connect into your phone is going to be really important, okay, for a couple reasons that I'll show you in a minute. But you want a discrete sound. If you're going to just be putting your phone next to your guitar or your amp, you want to try to do it in a room that's quiet without any other distractions or any other noise, okay? So make sure you're, if it's in your bedroom, your basement, whatever it is. Let me just see if I can get back to this guy. There we go. Okay. So by the end of this thing, I'm going to be a pro at these, I swear to God. All right, so you're going to sit there and use your headphone in and then record into it, okay? So you're just playing out loud, very simple, okay? Now, the next thing, all right, that's a lot of fun. Let's go back and turn this guy on. Cool. Is going to be an app called MTSR, okay? Hopefully you can see that pretty good. So there's an app called MTSR. That's the little logo for it, so you could find it on the App Store. And what that stands for is multi-track song recorder, all right? This is literally a 4-track recorder. So let's talk about why do we want 4 different tracks, okay? You could overdub. So in other words, track number 1 is going to be me playing the rhythm like I just did. So what I would do here is the same situation. Make sure that you're in a quiet room. You could literally put this phone, make sure where the microphone is close to your audio source, and then put your headphone in, and then go ahead and play. You're going to hit record on track 1. It's going to count down, and now you're recording. Okay, so now what you're going to do is sit there and play whatever it is you want to loop for 4 minutes or 5 minutes, however you want to do it. The longer the better, so that you don't have to stop and hit play again, okay? But again, you're going to put that phone next to your audio source, you're going to play your groove. Play it and loop it, all right? And then when you're done, you're going to hit stop. And now you got track 1, okay? Here's what's cool about this. Let's say you have a drum or a bass guitar. Let's say you want to do a bass guitar or just another rhythm to multi-track. Or let's say you want to record yourself soloing over it, okay? Now, what you're going to do is play back track 1, but record track 2. And this is where it is extremely important to have headphones in, okay? Because you do not want the speaker of your phone playing the audio and then recording on it. Then you're going to get what's called a feedback loop, all right? It's going to double everything and it's going to sound totally horrible. So as long as you have your headphones in, you're going to be hearing the track playing back, but the device is just going to be recording the new thing you're laying on, okay? And then you could just double, triple, or even quadruple track something. So again, you have 4 tracks to work with. So what I would do here is hit play on my phone on track 1, and then record on track 2. Okay, so now what you're going to do... Actually, let's do this. I think if you hit record on 2, there we go. It's going to play everything back from the beginning. So all I need to do is hit play on track 2, and it's playing back what I had recorded. All right? So you're going to hear your groove. Once it starts, it's going to go ahead and loop for like 4 or 5 minutes, however long you play it. And then you have a second track. All right? And you could record that way. All right? Again, super lo-fi, super low tech, but it works, and it's free. And I guarantee you have... somebody, you're going to have a phone, or someone you know or live with is going to have a phone that you could do this with, all right? Let me go back to my main camera here just so you can see everything. How's that looking in sound, by the way? Cool, Gary, awesome. I'm going to take a minute here to say hi. Ricky, what's up? Colin, cool. All right, looks like we're good to go. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we have our iPhone app, or our Android, Google app, whatever, okay? There's a lot of different apps like this out there. This is just the simplest one. I don't use it much because I have all of this fun stuff behind me, but you could do a lot with a little. The other thing that's cool to check out is there's a lot of devices now that allow you to put your guitar into this, or a microphone, a different microphone into this, all right? There's a lot of USB or iPhone attachments or audio interfaces, as they call them. Apogee makes a bunch. I think they got one called iRig. If you just type in iPad or iPhone or, mobile phone audio interface, you'll find something that'll be the next step up that'll allow you to plug your guitar into your phone or a microphone in, and then you have discrete tracks, and then you could get an even cleaner signal going into your phone if that's all you got. Or an iPad. iPad's really fun and easy because you got more screen space, a little bit more room to navigate, and it's easier to kind of do some ninja stuff with it, all right? But again, you could start very simply like that, all right? Lo-fi. You could actually, I wouldn't even say lo-fi, low tech, but you could actually get great quality from it, all right? If you have questions on that, let me know. But those are my quick and easy free ways of doing this, okay? And now, if you have any questions on that, let me know. But what I'm going to do now is move into talking about how we can do some ninja stuff inside the computer. And this is going to be pretty much the process that I use when I'm making my own backing tracks, okay? The thing that's really fun about the computer is that it gives us the ability to very easily loop anything that we record into it, all right? And I'm going to show you some best practices about how to record into your computer, okay? So what I'm going to be using is a software called Logic, all right? There's a couple, that's what we consider a DAW or a digital audio workstation, all right? The more popular ones out there, you got Logic, you got Pro Tools, you got Cubase, Digital Performer. There are a lot of different software programs out there. Every single one of them, GarageBand is the kind of light version of Logic if you're on Apple. All of these are going to allow you to do what I'm going to show you. All right. The thing that's really important to understand is that I'm going to show you the techniques on how I do it inside of this software. If you don't have this software, don't worry. You could easily apply it to anything that's out there, okay? But since I use Logic for the most part for my music production, I'm going to be using this system. It's great. If you're on Mac, it's one of the less expensive DAWs, and you get so much with it. It's really fun. Okay, so what are we going to be doing here? What do we need if we're going to be using a computer to do this? We need an audio interface. We need something to plug in either our guitar directly into the computer or to the interface which goes into the computer, or if you have a microphone that you want to put on your amp, then that's going to be the box that's going to take that audio signal from the microphone and make it get into your computer, okay? So this little interface here is, a 4-channel interface that connects to a computer. This is the interface that I have for my main recording rig. This is a real fancy one. It can do up to 32 channels at once. keep it simple. All you need are two. You only really need one, but most audio interfaces out there, the basic ones, are going to have two channels in. All right, and that way, if you and a guitar player, you and a bass player, you and another person, you record two things at once. So you need an audio interface to allow your instrument or your microphone to get into the computer. All right, and once we're able to do that, we could then now record into the computer, and I'm going to show you how to loop, and once we record it, how we loop it. Okay, so let me now switch to the computer view, and we'll see if this all goes smooth. Oops, sorry about that. All right, so let's now go to this view. All right, make sure we focus this a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to here. Oops, sorry about the noise. Okay. Sorry, that was annoying. Okay, so if you can see me now, I'm over here, I hope. And this is Logic, okay? Hang on a second. Sorry, that's annoying. Okay, so here we are inside of our computer. What we have are a couple tracks that are set up, all right? The one we're going to focus on right now is this guy here, guitar, all right? And what's going to happen is you could see that because I have my guitar set up, you could see the little levels going up. And all I have is my amp for my guitar is in a different room. Yep, just making sure this all looks good. Okay, so my amp is in a different room with a microphone on it. The audio interface, the microphone is going into the audio interface, and I have the recording signal going into the computer here. Okay, so when I play, I could go ahead and record it. So if I go ahead and play this or record it, all right, check it out. So we're going to go ahead and hit record, and I'm going to play something. Okay, so now we have our tracks right here. This is the guitar track that I just recorded. All right, so if we play this back, check it out. All right, so now I have my track that I just recorded. So if you did nothing else and just use the same technique that we talked about earlier, I could just sit here and record that for 4 or 5 minutes, and then I'll have my loop, okay? But we're going to show you how to do this much, much easier, and this is going to show you why working inside of a computer or an app can give you a lot more functionality and make life a lot easier. So let's go ahead and erase that. Now, what do we want first off to make sure that we could do this in steady rhythm? You got two options, a metronome or a drum machine. Drum machine is technically just a fancy metronome, okay? But by using one or the other, we're going to be able to have a source that keeps us steady, okay? So what I'll start with first is showing the drum machine I have here. And I think you can see this, hopefully. This is a Roland drum machine, all right? There are so many different drum machines. You could even use your app as a source to find some audio drum loops and use and plug your phone into your audio interface. But if I have my drum machine here, I got a nice simple groove, okay? And what you want to first do is establish what tempo around what tempo your groove is at, okay? So if we play this one, I'm at 105 on this groove, okay? Check it out. 2, 3. Okay, so there you could see how I'm just using the drum machine to practice to, all right? Let's look at another option, all right? If we're inside the computer, and this is inside of Logic, this is something that's proprietary to Logic, but they have a software instrument called Drummer, okay? And it's literally this simple. I have one right here already set up, but watch this. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and start from scratch, okay? So if I create a new track one of the types of tracks I could do is called drummer. Just making sure this looks good. Okay, cool, you can see that. Okay, so if I go ahead and create a drummer, now I can specify what kind of genre I want to be. What kind of drummer do I want to have loaded in here? A rock drummer, alternative, songwriter. Let's do R&B, and we'll set create. Now what you can see here is that I now have a track. It's 8 bars long, and literally now if I do nothing else but play the track, we got a basic drum beat. Okay, very simple, right? Very cool. And literally I just click 2 buttons. And this is how easy this little app is. I could take this little this pad here, and you can see on the left I have simple to complex, loud to soft. I could literally take this dot, drag it around, and it changes the type of beat that I want. So if I want a loud and complex drum beat, I can move it over here, and it's going to now play a more complex, loud beat. Okay, simple. I could take it down to the bottom left and go simple and soft. All right, it's that easy. If I want to try a different type of drummer or a different sound, I could just go all day with this. All right, it's super easy and it's very fun to work with. All right. So let's just leave it here in the middle. All right, and notice too, the tempo, let's see if you can see that up here. Probably not quite. If I move this up a bit, hopefully it doesn't break anything. Seeing if I can get this up just enough. No, I don't want to go crazy with this. There we go. So up at the top here, it tells me what rhythm there you are. What rhythm I'm at. So you can see that I have the tempo here set to 105 as well, okay? So this beat is going to play at 105. And again, if I just take this rhythm and let's say I want to go to 120, this is automatically going to play the drum beat at 120. It's that simple, all right? At least in this program, okay? Let's go back to 105, and there we go. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is loop this, okay? So as you can see here, I have 8 bars, okay? Let's say I want to take this. I could go to the top of this audio piece here, and you can see that there's a little circle. Well, I don't know if you can see the detail on this, but there's a little circle, and now what I could do is just drag this over, and this will loop it for as long as I want, okay? So let's say I want to loop it for 2 minutes. All right, that's about 2 minutes right there. All right, there we go. We now have a drum loop that's 2 minutes long, okay? So if I want to record, I could now practice recording over that, and I know it's 2 minutes long. Here's the next trick. And again, this is going to be you're going to be able to do this on any software program. We're going to do a cycle or a loop feature, all right? On Logic, it's the key C. You can see that there's this little colored bar showed up here. All right, this is my loop, which tells me how many bars the loop's going to be. So even though I have like 2 minutes of the track, what's going to happen is that at 8 bars, or let's just make it 4 to keep it simple here. All right, so now it's 4 bars. At the end of 4 bars, it's going to go back to the beginning and just keep on looping. So 1, 2, watch how it goes back. Right back to the beginning, okay? So we're going to use this in a second, but that feature exists so that if all I want to do is practice to that drum groove, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm just making sure this all looks good. Everyone doing okay out there? How does it look, sound? Is this helpful? Cool. All right, so let's keep on going. So we now have our loop for our drums all ready to go. All right, the next part is that I need to record my groove that I'm going to play. Okay, And again, you're going to figure out whatever it is. Even if you're sitting there and keeping it simple and just playing a chord over and over, that's fine, okay? But we're going to stick with our groove that we've been working with. All right, we're going to work with this. Now, if what we're going to do, we're going to turn our loop off, and now what we're going to do is record our part over the drum track, okay? So what I have is my guitar part record enabled. I have my drum track layered in. So what we're going to do now is record, and I'm just going to play my part a whole bunch of times, okay? And what we're going to do is find a nice clean 4 bars that I play. But let's go ahead and record our part in. So I'm going to hit record. We got our drum beat, and here we go. All right, there we go. And then, yep, it looks like you guys can see that okay. So now what we have is our drum, we have our drum track on the bottom in the yellow, and we have our guitar track that we just recorded on top, okay? Now I can literally go ahead and hear myself play this back. All right, so now what I'm going to look for is 4 bars or 2 bars, however long you need that you want to loop. And what you're going to try to do is find a nice clean 4 bars. And what do I mean by clean? Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to turn our loop on, and we're going to drag it to a 4-bar section. So in other words, where does my groove start, and then where does it end? It's basically 4 bars. It's actually only 2 bars long, all right? So even if I make this 2 bars long, let's hear how these 2 bars sound. Actually, sorry, it is 4 bars. That was the first 2 bars. Here's the next. So now... All right. So that right there is my loop, okay? If I wanted to do nothing else, I now have a loop all set to go. I have my backing track. I got drums, and I got my rhythm guitar part. So now, and let me create a new, what I'm going to do is duplicate this guitar track so that I could actually jam on top of it. So we'll do this, like that, and go back to our guitar part here. Okay, so if I do nothing else, I have my loop feature on, making sure you guys can see this. Yeah, cool. I have my loop feature on. And now I could just go ahead and jam on this. And because the loop is set up in the system with the loop function, I don't need to, it's going to loop indefinitely. All I got to do now is hit spacebar, and I have my loop to practice over. Okay, so again, it's that simple, all right? Now, what do I want to do to make this a little bit cleaner though, okay? So what I could do is zoom in on this, and let's say I like these 4 bars, okay? Maybe if I made a mistake or it wasn't as tight as I wanted it to be, I want to see how the next 4 bars are. Let's drag it over 4 bars. All right, that one's pretty clean too, all right? But let's go back to this first one. Now, in any digital audio program, there's going to be a feature for you to cut the audio, okay? Back in the old days, you would literally have to take a razor blade and cut real physical tape, all right? nowadays, all I have to do is use the tool that allows me to cut, and there's going to be a feature where if I make any edits, it's only going to do it on a bar, okay? And again, this is why it's so important to practice and play along to a metronome, use a drum machine, and have a very steady beat so that everything inside the computer, when you record it in there, is going to be dead on tempo, okay? Because now what I could do is take my little tool, cut each thing, and now I have this little chunk of audio that is my loop, okay? I can actually delete these guys, drag this to the beginning, and now what I could do is this same feature that I did with the drum loop. I could use this little icon up top and just drag this for 2 minutes. And now that's literally a groove that is looped for 2 minutes long, okay? All right, there we go. We have our backing track, okay? So, and then again, because this drummer feature is so fun and easy to work with, while this plays, I could sit here and move this little button around and experiment with different drum grooves. Okay, in real time, I could sit here and change the groove just like a real drummer was playing along with me. So that is a really fun feature. Again, that one's only a part of Logic. I'm not sure if it's part of GarageBand, but most digital programs nowadays will have a feature like this that allows you to easily have drums inside your computer. All right. Now, let's take one other approach to this. And let me know if you guys have any questions on that. Let me just double check. Is everything doing good out there? You guys are still hearing me? Everything sounds good. It looks like it. Cool. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is use the drum machine to record this in instead of having a drummer. Let's say I don't have this drum program in here, okay? We're just going to go ahead and delete this guy altogether, okay? What I do have now, though, is a track set up for the drum machine to record into, okay? So instead of using the drummer like I did, we're going to have the drum machine set up to record, and literally it's the same process. I hit play on my drum machine. We got a little bit different beat. Now, it's not as easy for me to change the beat up on this as it is in the drummer, but if you know your way around a drum machine, it can be a lot of fun and just a different way of producing music, okay? But I can literally do the same thing where we go back to the beginning, we hit record on our drum machine, and record in, a bunch of the beat that we want to have looped. So I'll give a little bit more. And there we go. So we're going to stop our recording, stop our drum machine. Now what you could see is that we have the audio from our drum machine in here, okay? So now what do we need to do? We need to loop it and make it nice and clean like we did with the drummer track, okay? Now, there's going to be a few extra steps here. And this is where again, it's so important to know what tempo you want to do this at, and make sure that you set your computer workstation to be at that tempo. So in other words, it's at 105, the drum machine is at 105, so I know that this beat in here is at 105. Now, I could sit here and get real crazy with zooming in close to these waveforms. Okay, here's the start of the beat. I could keep on zooming in and zooming in to like the micro sample of when this beat starts. Okay, now I could use my cut tool and cut that where it's at. All right, and if I want, now, well, actually the problem was it cut right on the beat, because of the tool that I have on that says if I'm going to make a cut, only cut it on the beat. And this is where we get into more advanced features. But again, what I'm about to do and show you is a feature that's on pretty much any software program out there. There's a feature that allows you to move to a transient. A transient is just something that shows the wave. In other words, you could see, because it's a drum beat, it's nice and clean. There's a kick drum and a snare drum. You got a transient here, and then you got another transient here, okay? I have a feature or a hotkey, and then this iPad over here has a bunch of, basically it's a shortcuts. But I'm going to use the feature that says move the cursor to the next transient. All right, so if I press the button, watch what happens. You can see that the cursor moved right to the beginning of the transient. Now what I'm going to do is cut the audio. I have a hotkey, which was that same feature where it cuts it, okay? Now the last step is I'm going to say move this piece of audio to the nearest beat. So it's going to see those lines, every line here, if you see the white lines going up and down, is a beat. So I'm going to press a button, and again, you need to just do a little bit of homework if you have a different workstation, but I promise you this feature's in there. It's either a transient waveform, I forget, each DAW has a little bit naming convention for it, but basically if you're in Logic, it's going to be transient, okay? So now what I could say is move this to the nearest beat. And you could see that now what it did was it moved this piece of audio to the next beat. Now, this guy is easy to move around, and I could now move it to the very beginning and turn my loop feature on. All right, so I got my loop on. We're going to play this back here. And at the end of 4 bars, it should repeat and sound dead tight because of the way we did this. There we go. You can see how it looped. All right, and again, now what I can do is just cut this at the end of 4 bars. And now I have my 4-bar loop right there. I could take my little tool and drag this and loop this as long as I want. And now what I could do is do another track and record my guitar. Okay, so again, I have my other track here. And what we're going to do is record it again right on top of it. So we're going to take our rhythm. Oop, where did our audio go? So let's now lay our guitar part over to this drum beat. Oop, I don't want to record over that, that's for sure. Let's not do that. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, there we go. So we just did that for 4 bars. And now what I need to do is, let's get rid of our vocal because we don't want that on there. We have our drum beat, and then we got our guitar part. Okay, so now, again, just like we did before, we're going to look for 4 clean bars of our guitar part. Let's come over here. So let's start on this part here and see if we got a good clean 4 bars. Not bad, there you go. Okay, so now what I can do again is just cut the audio to these 4 bars, get rid of the piece at the end and the beginning, and then here's my 4-bar loop. I could drag this right to the beginning. I could extend this as long as I want. Or now if I just want to put my loop on the first 4 bars like this. We now have our backing track. Oops. Let's try that again. right, and there you go. So let me switch views back to our regular camera. And let's see here. Let's go back to the sky. All right, so there we go. That's basically what wanted to show you guys today. Hopefully that was fun, helpful, and you got a lot out of it. Again, we get into some tech stuff, and you can get pretty heavy down to that tech rabbit hole, but keep it simple. If all you do is the iPhone and find an app to record yourself playing in it for 4 or 5 minutes, that's going to be your backing track, okay? You don't need to make it any more complex than that, all right? Do you guys have any questions on any of that stuff I covered? If you do, type them in, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of finish up here, but I think this one's pretty good. Again, there's a lot of tech I had to move around the room to kind of do this. And if you guys like this type of stuff, let me know, and we'll do more of it. But again, this is such a fun and essential tool to be able to do as a guitar player. And recording your own and making your own backing tracks is just one of those things that's going to make you an infinitely better musician and guitar player. But by all means, use the backing tracks that are on Rock Guitar Power or on Super Guitar Licks. On both of those sites, you have great backing tracks. They all loop for 4 or 5 minutes. So if all you want to do is just get to it and jam, use those, find other backing tracks out there, and utilize them. Have fun with them. But if you're writing music or you come up with a groove or you just want to play a simple chord, lay that down and practice using this technique so that you can make your own backing tracks. And this is how music is produced. There's really not a whole lot more to it. Yes, you got a lot of fancier stuff you could do, but the basic idea of what I just showed here is what allows you to really gain a lot of tools and techniques on how to be a better musician and produce music. So it's a lot of fun. We all have access to these tools now for super cheap, if not free. So it's just a matter of learning them. So hopefully that was fun. Hopefully you guys dug it. And that's it for tonight. Stay tuned as always, superguitarlicks.com or rockguitarpower.com. And have fun. Dig into those sites. If you have questions, you could always email me. There's support links on those sites. And stay tuned to your email. And I'll be doing a new lesson very soon and probably doing some live performances soon as well. All right? Have a good night, everybody. Be safe, have fun, and go play your guitar. All right, later.